They come out with all these leaks and innuendo suggesting that he did something terrible, and none of it pans out. It's what happened with Russia, and I guarantee it's what's happening here. So we got the warrant, but there's this underlying affidavit and some other materials. And the underlying affidavit's important because typically, I'll warn you, I'm not a criminal lawyer, I'm not a lawyer. But I've seen enough of this material to tell you, I'm pretty sure I know what I'm talking about, that the affidavit is the material given by the FBI, written, usually it's an FBI agent who signs it, detailing what essentially they're investigating and why they think there's probable cause that crimes were committed. And that's where all the details are. What was the fundamental basis for this raid? And as I'm suggesting, it's all based on lies and dishonesty, and I'm sure the affidavit, and it will eventually be released largely fully, I think, will disclose that. Now, of course, the FBI's position, the Justice Department's position, and the court ordered the Justice Department and the FBI to respond to Judicial Watch's demands that this material be unsealed. It was filed under seal, which means it's not public. And so Judicial Watch filed its brief immediately, and then these media organizations came in following our lead, also asking for the material. So the government had to respond to us. That's the great thing about America still. I mean, I know I'm yelling about all of this, but there's still this due process. There's still this process of law that allows little old Judicial Watch to go in there and hold the Justice Department and the FBI, or attempt to hold them accountable under the law for this unprecedented raid on former President Trump. And I'm honored that we're able to do this, and I'm gratified to be in a country that still allows us to do this. And the court, I'm not all that thrilled. The court approved the warrant, but he did move quickly here. And he said the government needs to respond, and they had to respond by earlier this week, and then he quickly held a hearing. Now, the government's response was, we shouldn't have to release anything because it's a criminal case and it might hurt our criminal case. Well, that's not the rule of law. That's, we don't want to release it. And we're the Justice Department, and that's the end of the discussion. Of course, that's not what the court is supposed to do. And the court rejected that in response to Judicial Watch and the media requests. This is what we said. It seems like the Biden Justice Department is telling the court what to do. Respectfully, the court should make its own independent assessment of the compelling public interest and transparency about this abusive raid. The criminal investigation the Biden administration is covering up reeks of corruption and dishonesty and is based on a reinvention of law about presidential records that is at odds with the U.S. Constitution, court rulings, federal statutes, and prior government legal positions and practice. No administration should be able to raid the home of a former president and putative presidential candidate based on secret reasons. Well, that's actually what I said. That's not what our lawyers said. Let me see what our lawyers said. The public interest in the contents of the affidavit cannot be understated. The secrecy surrounding the search warrant and the affidavit that led to its issuance has caused the nation to convulse with intrigue and harmful speculation that will only increase the longer the truth is kept from the public. The heat must be replaced with light, and soon. Maintaining the seal, meaning keeping the records under seal, will only fuel more speculation, uncertainty, leaks, and political intrigue, and it will also serve to undermine public confidence in the fair administration of justice and equal protection of the law. Concerning the gravity of this unprecedented action by the government, at a minimum, the court should review the affidavit line by line to determine what information may be disclosed and what information may be redacted to balance the competing concerns at issue. And the court agreed with us, and that's exactly what he told the government at a hearing he ordered earlier this week. It was on Thursday of this week in West Palm Beach. Judicial Watch lawyers were there. Our local counsel, Jim Moon, was responding, made argument for us. The big lawyers, big league lawyers for the New York Times, etc. They made arguments, and of course the Justice Department came in and they tried to make arguments, and the court rejected outright the Justice Department's theory that they should be able to redact everything, because he said, I've looked at this and I've decided, and I'm inclined to agree, that there's certain materials here that can be released. So we won. Now, are we going to get anything released? That remains to be seen, because there's always the right of appeal, practically speaking. But the court ordered the Justice Department to file something, presumably that releases some material, and the court will look at it, and if he disagrees with them, he will call them in and have a secret meeting, what there's called an ex parte discussion with them about the redactions, and who knows where it will go from there. So as soon as next week, who knows, maybe the government will file something the court immediately likes, and we get a new version of the affidavit, or a version of the affidavit that has more information. Or maybe the fight just goes on for months and months and months, which of course is what the Justice Department wants, right? It's about destroying Trump. It's about causing political heartburn for their political opponents. And this has been the case with prior Justice Department, FBI smears and attacks on Trump. They come out with all these leaks and innuendo suggesting that he did something terrible, and none of it pans out. It's what happened with Russia, and I guarantee it's what's happening here. Just as with Russia, there was no good faith basis to go after him and spy on him. And as I've explained to you quite deliberately here and specifically, there was no good faith basis to target him here. So we got this great victory. And I am so proud of Judicial Watch's legal team, the lawyers here, Mike Bekesha and Paul Orphanides, and our investigators and such. They moved quickly. We had excellent local support, as I said, and we took the lead here. But Judicial Watch got the ball rolling. Judicial Watch achieved a key court victory over the Biden Justice Department's desperate move to keep the Trump warrant affidavit completely sealed. The court, as I said, outright rejected the Justice Department's brazen play to keep the whole document secret. The Biden administration's unprecedented and abusive raid on Trump's home has created a rule of law crisis that can only be alleviated with transparency and accountability, and we're thrilled that Americans will get more of both with yesterday's court decision, finding that at least some more information about this terrible raid will be released. So that's great news. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and like our video down below.